People often ask me, what is the best path? What's the best spiritual path? What's the best meditative path? And so forth. When I get asked that question, a couple things pop into my mind immediately. The first is that I feel this urge to say the best path is the one that works for you. It's been my experience that different approaches work best for different people at different times. It's not an absolute, what's the best path, who's got the real answer, which one is going to, is the pure, the authentic, the true, can take me to the place where the other ones leave off, et cetera, et cetera. I don't really think that's the issue so much. I think the issue is what works for you at a given time. And it might change over time. There are people that started out with me doing mindfulness practice and had certain experiences, and I recommended that they go to a Zen teacher, my teacher, Sasaki Roshi. And after doing that practice, they decided they wanted to work more within the Zen framework, the traditional Zen framework. So they transitioned from Vipassana to Zen. It can go the other way too, though. I have among my students people that have long, decades-long Zen practices that now feel more comfortable working within the mindfulness framework. A number of years ago, we had a meeting at the Spirit Rock Mindfulness Center in California, Jack Kornfield's place, of Western teachers defined as people teaching in the Western world. And I suspect there was a couple hundred of us there at that meeting. And Jack asked us an interesting question. He asked us, how many people in this room would say that more than one lineage of practice had been significant in their life? In other words, how many people in this room have done Vipassana and Vajrayana practice, for example, or Vajrayana and Zen practice, that kind of thing? And of those people teaching in the West, more than half of them said that very different lineages of practice were significant for them in their development. I find that very interesting. In a sense, the sort of immediate or perhaps somewhat cavalier answer that I feel like giving is, well, the best one is whatever works. It's pragmatic and it may be different at different times for you. One might say, but isn't there a path that is in some way absolutely better than others? Is there some way of lining up the paths in terms of, well, this one will take you so far, but then you have to do this, then you have to do this. Some people make claims like that. To be perhaps a little bit blunt, I don't buy it. I don't buy those claims. There is a way to compare maps and spiritual paths, I believe. But it takes a lot of courage. You need to be able, number one, and willing, number two, to talk about the strong points and the weak points of whatever path you teach. And that's hard, okay? We tend to want to talk about the strong points. But it has been my experience that if you want to compare paths, what you compare is strengths and weaknesses. And they tend to have certain strengths, and they tend to have certain weaknesses. And to me, that's an honest comparison. For example, I would happily tell you what I consider to be bad about the way I teach meditation. Maybe that would be another talk. But, well, just briefly, here's all the things that are bad about how I teach meditation. It's very complex. There's a lot of subtleties. You have to remember a lot of technical vocabulary because I'm very picky about words and precision in description. There's a lot of emphasis on implementing procedures in a certain way, although it is an algorithm, meaning you're never asked to do anything you can't do. You're not asked to do the impossible. But you're asked to do doable things, but in a very specific way. A lot of people want to be a little more free form about things. I tend to place things in a sort of secular type of language, which may lack some of the more overtly or explicitly spiritual symbols and terminology and so forth. So anyway, that's a few of the things that may be bad about the way that I teach. If I thought about it, I could probably come up with some more. So anyway, if you want to compare paths, I think you want to say, okay, this one is strong in this way, this way, this way, but it's sort of weak in this way, this way. For example, TM, strong point, anybody can do it right away and have some experience of being a little bit calm. Weak point, well, you might not take you any further than that. Now I said might not, I didn't say it won't. But that might be, in fact, the weaknesses are tendencies. They're not absolutes. This tends to be strong this way, this tends to be weak this way as a path. So I think if you want to compare things, that's the way you compare them. Tendencies towards this strength or this weakness. Then the other thing that I always like to keep in mind is that all of these paths are not very good. The ones that we have now, that have come down to us, that anybody has, they can be vastly improved upon. And as the result of improving upon them, we will see a democratization of enlightenment over the planet. So it always helps me to keep in mind that the best path is yet to be discovered, if there is indeed a best one. And that's exciting and wonderful.